Hey there, I'm Myles, and in this video, we're doing an Amazon FBA Pop Quiz. I wanted to continue the spirit of learning during these lockdowns that are sweeping the world. And so we're gonna go over 7 important questions related to selling on Amazon. Knowing the answers to these questions will literally make you money on Amazon. So let's go. And welcome to the video, guys. So this one's gonna be a little bit different. I wanted to basically just do something a little bit fun, a little bit out there, because I know a lot of you guys are at home and looking for ways to pass the time. So I wanna make sure that time can be as productive as possible. So we're gonna do an Amazon FBA Pop Quiz. By the way, if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is where I teach people how to accelerate their Amazon FBA journey. Basically teaching everything that I've learned on the way to $5 million and up so far in sales. So if you like that, subscribe, make sure to click the notification bell so you get more of these videos. But the reason why this video came about was because I actually was hiring for my Amazon FBA business around about a month ago now. And in the process of hiring, I actually put this out to my audience, and we had about 100 applications for this Amazon FBA launch position. I didn't realize, by the way, how many people I have watching this channel who are multiple 6 figures or 7 figures or even higher Amazon FBA sellers. So awesome, guys. It's great to know that you're out there. Make yourselves known. By the way, I have a free community as well. That's the FBA Nomads Facebook group. I would love to get more experienced and advanced sellers in that group. So if you haven't already joined that Facebook group, there's a link down below. It's completely free. You just need to make sure you follow the rules and be positive and, contribute to the community. But I'd love to see you in there. Anyway, I put this out. I got around about 100 applications, and many of these applicants were highly skilled, highly experienced, advanced Amazon sellers, which was really impressive to see. So I needed a way to actually filter out those applicants to figure out who had the best knowledge, who really knew Amazon FBA from end to end. So I put together a series of questions, and what you're gonna see, or what we're gonna go through together in this video, is those exact same questions that I was actually testing these applicants with. By the way, the position is closed. So what you're seeing there is the old application form, but I've already hired for it. So right now I'm not looking for anyone else, but I wanted to bring you guys into this process, and hopefully we can learn something together about Amazon. And again, these questions, literally, if you can answer 7 out of 7 of these questions, you are in the top echelon, because most of these sellers, again, some of them multiple 6-figure sellers, didn't get all the answers to these questions correct. So what I want us to do, go through this. I'm going to go through each question, and then rather than just doing this passively, rather than you just sitting there watching and then going into the next video after that, you won't really learn that much if you're doing that. And that's fine if you don't want to learn anything, but honestly, the purpose of this channel is for you to learn and take away real knowledge. So what I want you to do, let's try something different. I want you to actually listen to the questions as I go through each one, and then pause the video and actually think about the answer to the question. You may not know the answer, but that's okay. If you don't, then keep going. But if you do know the answer to the question, or you can at least try and answer it, I want you to pause the video for each one and then write down your answer. Get a pen and a paper or something and write down what you think the answer is, and then unpause it. I'll go through the answer, and then we can go through each of those, and then you can tally up your score, obviously, out of 7. And at the end, you can leave me a comment down below and let me know how many you got, what answers maybe you disagree with, or you didn't know, or you weren't sure about something. Let's make this interactive. Let's go through this together. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the application. We'll go through it. I'll start with question 1, read it out, pause it, you answer it, then I'll read you the answer, and then we'll go through for all 7 of these questions. And again, these questions literally will make or save you thousands of dollars on Amazon if you know them. So now's the time to learn. All right, let's go. Question 1, this is not a technical question, but it's very important. When you don't know something about Amazon, A, where do you go to find out the answer? And B, who did you call on for help? List any useful resources, masterminds, groups, or whatever that you're a part of. Okay, and seriously now, this is a quiz, so you have to pause the video, think about your answer carefully, write it down, and don't just say YouTube, don't just say me, and then we'll go through it. We'll go through it now. All right, so the reason that I asked this question, and the reason why I asked this first in this application, is because it's a great question to weed out people who are independent learners, people who are self-reliant and can actually take the steps they're going to need to take to learn the things they don't know to get to solutions, right? So this is not answering a specific question. This is really finding out, can you go away and learn? Because what's going to happen, here's the key with business and anything that's like unknown, it's risky, it's kind of scary. You need to be able to think for yourself, essentially. And if you don't have anywhere to go to find out answers, if you don't have anybody to call on who you can actually talk to, and this is very important, it's very hard for you to actually find out those answers without wasting a lot of money or a lot of time, or in a lot of cases, people just give up. So what I'm looking for with something like this, and what you should be looking for, is some sort of mastermind, some sort of active community that you're a part of where you can ask somebody a question and get an answer back and have a real dialogue. And so, for example, in my course, I have a mastermind community. I think it's the most valuable part of the entire course is us. Right now, there's about 450 of us in there. We all talk together. It's very active. But I've recently been pushing everybody within that community to actually go and form smaller masterminds. So literally to go and find people within that big community of 400 or so people, to then find groups of 2 to 5 people to then go away and do calls every week and accountability and everything. Again, to have that group that you can go on to find out answers, to call in for help, and maybe even most importantly, to actually get emotional support during this journey. That's very, very critical. As you can see with all this crisis stuff that's happening right now, if you're in business right now, it's a tough time to be in business because like you have so much control and it's so hard sometimes to actually make those steps and do what you need to do and find out what you need to do. So long answer to question one, but make sure that you have some sort of mastermind. Again, if you want to join my training program, I would welcome you in the community and I would love to see you forming one of those small masterminds as well within it. But if not, make sure that you have somewhere you can go to ask for help and to get that active dialogue back as well as the emotional support. So that's question one. That's the answer. Write down how you went with that one and let's go to question two. And question two is break down all the costs that you need to consider when doing product profitability analysis for a product on Amazon. Pause the video, write your answer down, and then let's go through it. By the way, a lot of these answers are actually pretty much taken verbatim from the applicants' answers themselves. So again, fantastic to see how many people within this audience watching this channel are super experienced and just know so much about Amazon. It really was cool to see. So let's talk about the costs. So we're talking about costs you need to consider when doing product profitability analysis. I want to stop us for a second, go into Amazon, and I'm going to show you a quick way to actually be able to estimate the product costs involved with particular products. So let's say we're looking at these power banks here. And then what I recommend you do, if you don't already have, Helium 10 is my preferred product research tool, and you should always be using it when you're browsing Amazon. So I'll put a discount code here if you want to get that. If you don't already have it, you can click the link. It'll be down in the description as well, but go there, get that if you don't have it. And if you want to just be estimating on a very rough level how much these things cost, what you do, use this calculator right here. It will tell you the price. It tells you the FBA fees. So that's automatically calculated. And then all you have to do is enter in the product cost to get this net estimate. That's net profit. But what people will tell you to do is just go and look at, go on Alibaba, type in power bank or whatever this is called, whatever the product might be, get a unit price estimate, let's say $6.50 per piece, and then chuck that in here. And then we can see, we know the product cost is $6.50, and then we know technically we're making $15.57. But if only it were that simple. This is a very useful tool, but you can't stop there because there are a whole bunch of product costs that you have to include if you want to know how much money you're really going to make if you were to sell, for example, power banks. So let's talk about the real costs involved in doing Amazon FBA product profitability analysis. I'm just going to run through these. I'm not going to have time to explain all of them, but firstly, you have to consider the product manufacturing costs using either Xworks or FOB. Now here, this will give you a rough idea of just looking at this. You really have to go through the supplier sourcing process, start digging down into these suppliers and start vetting those numbers. But it's a decent enough start, but it's not accurate, I guess is my main point. So that's the product cost. Let's say it was $6.50. So that's what we put in there. But now we've got all these other costs to consider. So first of all, packaging costs. So that's product packaging. That might be included in the $6.50. Again, you need to find out exactly. Let's say in this case that it is. And then let's talk about freight. So certain products, power banks, you could probably ship via Air Express because they're very small and high value relative to the size of the product, but you don't know that. And it depends what product you're looking at. So you need to make sure that whatever the product is, you actually go and calculate the freight costs. Again, sometimes suppliers will include that in that unit price estimate, but you need to ask, you need to make sure. Next, last mile shipping. So again, this depends on how you're shipping your products. If it's sea, normally that's going to be included. Air, normally included as well, but it might not be. Next, customs fees. And you need to include this because sometimes it could be up to 30% on top of your normal product costs, particularly with the Trump tariffs, which have been introduced. Sometimes it's significant. The easiest way to check these customs fees is, first of all, work out what type of product you have. Go to this website, which I'll leave a link to here, and then type in your product name and then try and find it. Sometimes it takes a really long time to actually find. For example, if I typed in power bank, it's going to show me a whole bunch of completely irrelevant product types. and I actually need to go through that list and find it, which I'm not going to do for this video, but if you are looking for a product to sell, you need to do this. Next, wire transfer fees. So that might be $40 if you're paying via bank transfer. However, for your first product, I don't recommend paying directly via bank transfer. Either use PayPal or Alibaba Trade Assurance. That also has fees associated with it, which you need to include. Next, inspection costs. Never ever skip an inspection when getting your product shipped. That will be another, let's say $100 to $200 to even $300 sometimes, and you need to pay that every single time. Next, estimated return rate. Every single product on Amazon, no matter what you're selling, will have some percentage of those products be returned, and you won't get all of that revenue. So I would estimate, normally, we actually estimate around about 5%. Normally it's a little bit less than that, but that gives us a safety margin. So that's 5% of your revenue that you're gonna lose. You could use an estimate of 2 to 5%, and I think that would normally be correct, but in some categories it varies a lot. But again, if you aren't including that, you're just gonna find out your product is making less money than you expected. Next, monthly storage fees. Normally, these are quite low. However, for some cases, particularly oversized products, they're actually very significant. So again, you need to calculate these. Next, PPC costs. And this isn't even including your launch costs, but this is actually your ongoing marketing costs. And I would recommend that you calculate a total advertising cost of sale of around about 8 to 12% of your revenue. So that is going to be an ongoing 8 to 10 normally for us, but let's say up to 12% of your revenue will go to advertising spend. So you need to account for that as well. And then lastly, the simple Amazon FBA fees and the referral fee. That is the thing that Helium 10 will actually tell you in this calculation. But as you can see, we've just had to add in another 10 or 12, a dozen or so extra costs on top of that one there. So if you don't know about these, they will burn you later on when you figure out that you actually have to pay them. And that's recurring costs. Let's talk about now one-time initial costs. These don't recur. These are involved with actually creating a new product. So it's your logo design, packaging design, anything design related basically, as well as things like trademarking. So once you get a logo and you get a company name, then you want to trademark that. Photography for your listing. So whether you get 3D renders or you get actual photography done, you need to pay for that. That could be up to a few $100s. Let's say you're getting a website for your brand or you're starting some online presence, you need to pay for that as well, which is pretty cheap, less than $100 all up. Cost of samples. So obviously you're gonna have to get samples from multiple suppliers to evaluate the product quality, and each sample might cost you $50 to $100. So budget a few $100s for that. Finally, any mold creation costs or customization costs, those are things that you actually need to pay to the supplier so that they can customize your product for you. And again, those could be hundreds of dollars, it could be even thousands of dollars, depending on what you're trying to do. Or it could be zero if you don't need a new mold. Remember that these are just one-time initial costs, but you need to have an understanding of all of these. And on my channel, I haven't yet done any videos breaking down all of these costs and what you should actually expect to pay. So leave me a comment down below if you want to see that video. I am planning to make it, but only if enough people ask me for it. So again, if you want to know what these costs will be for your first product, leave me a comment down below and that will be one of the next videos to come out. So that was question 2. And were you going to calculate all of those costs? Did you already know about all of them, or did I actually tell you something new that you didn't know? So again, mark your score, whether you got this one correct or half correct or whatever. And let's move on to the next question, question 3. This one's a bit of a case study here, or an example. Our competitor is stuffing their enhanced brand content, and now I believe that's called A+ content, with keywords, trying to get indexed for new keywords to drive more traffic and to outrank us. Should we do the same to keep up? So should we also stuff our own A+ content with as many keywords as possible so that we can get ranked for more keywords and try and outrank our competitor? Should we or should we not? And why or why not? And before we pause the video and you go and write your answer down, just in case you weren't sure, what is A+ content? It's this part of the listing. So this is all the normal stuff. And then you keep scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. And then this is the A+ or the enhanced brand content. It's basically a longer form kind of sales page where you can put in some nice images. You can display, or you can talk about the benefits with more room to actually explain and pivot your brand as well, or position your brand. And yeah, it's just got all this sort of stuff. You can also have things like product comparisons. So that's A+ content. This is the question. Should we also be stuffing that with keywords? And I'm going to let you pause the video and then we're going to talk about the answer. All right, this one was a trick question. That A+ content doesn't actually get indexed on Amazon. So if we stuff it with keywords, it won't make any difference because those keywords won't index anyway. So it has nothing to do with ranking. All it does is actually increase the listing conversion rate. The idea is that when somebody reads this, they spend more time on the page, they're more likely to actually convert because they can get a better sense of your product and what its benefits are and what it stands for, okay? But none of this stuff actually gets indexed. That may change in the future, but at the time of filming, that is not indexed. So what can you do if you wanted to get keywords indexed? you need to add those keywords into the title. So you need to add it up here, or you need to add it to the bullets, pardon me. You can actually add it to the description if they have one. Here it's hidden. Some listings actually have the A+ content plus the product description. But in either case, you can add it to the product description. But the easiest, if you're not sure about the description, is just add it to the backend search terms. And as well, to sort of answer the second part of the question, I don't recommend that you just add lots and lots of keywords in trying to keyword stuff anyway, because it's not really about that these days. It's more about keyword relevancy, which means finding the most important, best keywords for your product and making sure that they are front and center in the title and just prominently displayed. So the answer is no, and now you know why. Let's move on to question 4. So let's say we have 2 products that would go well together. How would you make these 2 products frequently bought together? And let me explain if you're not familiar with frequently bought together. So we're looking at this listing now, some vitamin C tablets. Now, if we scroll down the listing to a certain point, normally down here somewhere on this page, it's here. What do other customers buy after viewing this item? So basically, what is most likely to be bought in addition to this product? And what this means is that essentially these products are getting free advertising on this page because they're frequently bought together with this primary listing. All right, so the question, how would we make our two products, let's say, frequently bought together? Or in other words, how can we get our other product listed down here on the what do customers buy after viewing this item? And it sometimes changes the format, but that's basically what it is. Free traffic on another listing. So now's your chance to answer this question. Let's pause it and then let's go through the answers. Okay, so the answer. So the reason why we're doing this again is to draw that extra free traffic from an existing listing. So we want to get traffic that's coming onto this listing, and then we want to redirect it to our products by putting them here. So how can we do that? There are a few different ways of doing it. Some are quite creative. I'm going to go through 2 options. The first one involves setting up a coupon code. You can go to your advertising and then promotions menu, and it basically looks like this, where a customer can buy one and then get a discount on the second item. And that second item is going to be the other ASIN that you want to tie together. And what does that actually look like in practice? Let's see if this one's got it. This one doesn't have it. Let's see here. I think this one does have it. There you go. So you scroll down here, you're looking at this product, and then you can see you're actually getting hit with these additional promotions where you save 5% on that product when you buy one of these other ones. And so you can actually click right here, go add both to cart. It also looks like this on mobile as well. And so customers will click that, they'll get a discount on the second item, and then they get tied together and they actually get frequently bought together. So if enough customers click that, that's how you'll get popped up in that frequently bought together section. So that is basically the first way of doing it. But like, these buttons are kind of hidden. They're not that obvious. Not that many people are going to click them. So how can you make that more obvious? Again, there are creative ways of doing this, but the simplest way, I would say, is to actually just change one of your listing images. So you've got all of these product listing images, and these listing images actually aren't that great. I would definitely be able to drop one of these out. Let's say probably towards the end. You wouldn't want it one of the first ones. Maybe this one is not doing much. So how about we actually change this image out, and then we add in another image that says, hey, special promotion, buy this product and buy this other product, and then save whatever it might be, 5 to 10 to 15 to maybe you want to do a really big discount, 40%. Lots of people will take that offer up in that case. And then you just say, hey, go and click add to cart. So the second and probably more creative way is to use rebates and then an actual URL that will actually get these 2 ASINs and add them both to cart at the same time. And so obviously you're going to have some sort of offer, like you would say, hey, buy this one and get this one free, or buy these both and get them both for free, whatever you want to do. And then you can do a rebate based on that. You can use ManyChat to drive that traffic, or you could use rebate key. And then what you need to do is go to Pixelfy or an alternative service, but I think Pixelfy is the best one. And basically they have a whole bunch of different URLs which do a whole bunch of different things. And the one you want is the buy together URL. And it literally says that this allows you to manipulate the frequently bought together by directing traffic to a button which adds 2 items to your cart. And once you get enough of them bought together, or even added to cart together, they'll start getting tied together in that frequently bought together. So that is how you can do that. Again, there are other ways of doing it, but these are probably the 2 simplest ways of getting frequently bought together to get absolutely free traffic onto that new product. As you can see, these questions get quite in depth. So write down what you got for that one, whether you get that one right or wrong or half right or whatever. And let's move on to, I think, question 5. So we want to rank a product using high bid PPC. So basically just pumping money into PPC to rank a product for a selected keyword. What metrics do you use to monitor and evaluate the success of this campaign? Explain your process. So this one is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to let you pause the video think about it, write your answer down, and let's go through it. Okay, so this one's not quite a trick question, and it is also open to interpretation. So you could have answered this in a number of different ways. And among the applicants, a lot of people did interpret it differently. But what I want to get at here with the point is, what are the main things that actually determine whether that campaign succeeds or not? And I'm going to tell you right now, it is the click-through rate, it's the conversion rate, and therefore it's the actual keyword ranking. And keyword ranking is highly influenced by click-through rate and conversion rate, which means sales, but it's the efficiency of sales and particularly relevancy. If you have a low click-through rate and a low conversion rate, what that means in Amazon's eyes is that your product is not relevant, or it's not the best result for that keyword. And if it's not the best result, it's not going to get ranked for that keyword because Amazon realizes it's not the best result. That's a roundabout way of saying it. But if your PPC campaigns are getting high conversion rates and they're getting high click-through rates, what that's saying is that people are seeing your ad, they're clicking on it because it appears relevant and it stands out as a good offer. They click on it, and then once they're in that listing, they actually convert as well. So they click add to cart and they buy your product. That gives you the high conversion rate. You had the high click-through rate when they were clicking into it. That means your product is relevant. That's great. And when your product is relevant, it's going to get keyword ranked. So the most common answer that I got that was incorrect was actually talking about ACOS and trying to get profitable ACOS. But remember, we're trying to rank the product using PPC. We're not trying to run this campaign indefinitely to make profit. We're trying to get that keyword ranking up. And again, the important things that determine whether that product will be ranked are the conversion rate and the click-through rate. If they're high, that's a great sign, by the way, that your product is actually going to do well in the market because it has a good conversion rate and it's relevant for that keyword. ACOS, again, for ranking, just doesn't matter that much. It's important for optimizing. So if you're running a foundations campaign or you're running an ongoing campaign to make money and to continue generating sales, ACOS becomes important, but for ranking, not so much. So again, you could have interpreted this question slightly differently. If you talked about sort of a minimum threshold for clicks, that's correct. You need to wait, let's say 100 clicks before you can actually look at that data. So that would be true too. But again, the main point is that when you're ranking using PPC, that ACOS is not representative of very much. You want to see whether you can actually get that keyword ranking up, because these campaigns, you switch them off once you rank the keyword. All right, so that was the question. Write down what you got and let's move on to the next one. Okay, we're up to question 6. A shipment got delayed and we're running out of stock. What would you do and why? Or to rephrase this, what do you do when you're running out of stock? All right, you can pause this video, write down your answer, think about it. When you're ready, let's continue with the answer. What to do when running out of stock? There are two schools of thought here. I argue one way and a lot of people argue the other way. And this is fine. You could say both ways, but you have to understand the reasoning behind both of them as well, because some of them, one approach works in some situations and you could argue the other approach would work in other situations, but you just need to understand both of them and then make a judgment call as to which one you want to use. So option A, and this basically is like maintaining everything as it is. That is going out with a bang. You don't touch the price. Sometimes people will even increase PPC. They'll try and increase sales velocity to maintain that keyword ranking as high as possible, to lock that in so that it looks like Amazon sees this listing that's just performing really great, getting lots of sales, getting high conversion rate, so it has a high keyword ranking. That's when it goes out of stock and that gets locked in, that gets frozen when you close the listing, so that when you come back into stock later on, you still have that sales history, you still have all of that there, and so you don't have to rank as much when you come back in. That's option A. And by the way, for both of these options, once you run out of stock, so once you sell that last unit, you want to close the listing, and additionally, you want to remove the main image to suppress the listing. It's anecdotal how much difference this actually makes, but it doesn't hurt, so you may as well do it. So that's the first option, which is basically go out as fast as possible, don't increase price. Now, I don't do this, by the way. We do option B, which is test higher pricing. So as you're running out of stock, you will start checking small increments. So again, I'm assuming you've got like a $20 to $30 price product. $1 is a small increment. If you have let's say a $10 product, maybe you want to go up by 30 to 50 cents at a time. It's going to be small, so it doesn't really drastically change things. But what you want to do is test that higher pricing. So maybe you're increasing by $1 a day, something like that. Check all your data, check your keyword ranking, check your sales, check your conversion rate, and just see what happens. We find in a lot of cases, if we're running out of stock, it often means that there's unexpected demand. And often when there's unexpected demand, you will find that your metrics don't actually get worse. When you increase the price, you make the same amount of sales. Sometimes you continue making more sales. It just means there's a lot of demand for your product. The keyword ranking stays exactly the same. And here's the thing, when you increase the price, you make more profit. And you get to test these new price points, which before you maybe didn't know whether you could actually sell at that price point. If you never increase the price, if you never test, you'll never know. And so we will always take this opportunity to test as well as taking that in that additional profit. Now, it's very important that you don't just jack your price right up and absolutely kill your sales. That will have really detrimental impacts on your keyword ranking, and that will take a lot of work to undo in the long term, particularly if you go out of stock for a while. But again, if you're going to be out of stock for not such a long period of time, let's say your product isn't in a super competitive niche, so you can actually afford to increase that price a bit, then I would go with option B, and that's what we do. Again, as you run out of stock, you want to close the listing, remove the main image to suppress that listing. That will preserve that sales history a bit better. Again, both of these options can be argued, okay? So I'm not saying you have to do one or the other. I just prefer option B. I know a lot of other seven-figure sellers who prefer option B. I know a lot of other seven-figure sellers who prefer option A, okay? So whichever one works, as long as you can justify why you're doing it. And whichever approach you choose, restock as soon as possible. You want to get that shipment back in. It's not cool to be out of stock on Amazon. I mean, it's inevitable. It happens to the best of us, but it's just not a lot of fun. You will lose ranking, or sometimes you lose ranking, and sometimes it is harder to come back after that. I have heard lots of stories of people discovering they can literally double their profit margins by doing this, and sales don't even get affected. So yeah, to me, it's definitely worthwhile testing. All right, that was question 6. So again, one of those two answers, if you had that and you can justify it, you got that right. Let's move on to the last question, question 7. What are the pros and cons of using variation listings versus using independent listings? So just talk about pros and cons. Think about that now, pause the video, and then let's talk about the answer. Okay, we'll go through the answer, but I forgot to give you, I guess, a hint. If you're not aware, what is a variation listing? Let's say we're on Amazon. Whenever we can see these options down here where you can actually choose between different, it'll be a color, a size, something like that, or a different design maybe. Those are variation listings. Whereas a listing like this, there's no options. Basically, this is an independent listing, and these are variation listings. So what are the pros and the cons of using these variation listings? Pretty simple. First of all, you actually get to use existing traffic and customers. So let's say we are Anchor and we're launching, we want to launch let's say a green power bank. It would be very simple to actually get some of this traffic that's already coming into this product, which has 16 or almost 16,000 reviews. If we wanted to add a green one, the green one comes here as a variation listing. It doesn't start with 0 reviews. It actually starts with 16,000. And so you can imagine what that does to conversion rate. That's going to get a lot, and all of that traffic coming in as well. You're just going to get a lot of sales on that product easier than you would be if you were just trying to launch it completely independently. Okay, so very easy because of that. You use the existing traffic and the customers that are coming into the normal listings, the other listings that are already there. And then second pro is that it uses those existing reviews. Third is a sort of follow-on from this. It's really easy to launch variation listings. You don't have to do very much or anything at all. You can literally just put it up. It'll start getting sales. Put it up, start getting sales. That sounds great to me. Because of that, it's easy, and therefore it doesn't cost very little as well to actually launch that product. So you could probably launch multiple variations per month easily doing this. Another thing you can do, and I don't know whether these guys have done it, but you can actually change the keywords in these listings. So let's say you use one product to take advantage of a certain amount of keywords, and then you launch, let's say, the blue variation. You can actually change some of these keywords. Again, let's see, they haven't changed them. So in this case, they haven't done that, and it is a little bit of a gray area, but you could easily start putting different keywords at the front here, and the front keywords in the title, the first ones actually get weighted more heavily. So you're gonna have better ranking juice with these other keywords if you chose to change them. So those are the main advantages of using variation listings. There are some other ones, but I'm actually gonna keep this one a little bit simple. Cons of using variations now. So why wouldn't we, if that sounds really easy and simple, why wouldn't we just keep launching these all together? There are some cons. Firstly, it's gonna cannibalize those sales. So the flip side of getting sales is that the traffic that's coming in, some of that traffic or most of that traffic is actually going away from these products and then going to this other one that we just launched, right? So you're going to get more overall traffic, but some of that is actually being taken from these other listings. So again, it depends. It's very easy, but you're not doubling your sales. For example, you might get an extra 20% or something like that. Second con is that you get less overall traffic by doing this. So for example, all of these listings, they actually only show up one time on the search result page. So if I search in power bank, only one of these can show up at any one time. However, if you had these all separated out as black, blue, red, white as independent listings, and then you search power bank, if they're all good, popular, competitive listings, you might have your black one up here in number 1 position. You might have the blue one down here in the number 3 position, the red one in the number, let's say 6 position, and let's say white is in number 10 position. So you actually got 4 spots on that search result page. So you're going to get a lot more of that traffic going to all of these independent listings than you are if you just have it appearing once as the black, most popular version, let's say at result number 1. The next con is that it's harder to manage PPC with variations. So the problem here is that we can only rank these variation listings for different keywords. We can't all rank all of these keywords for power bank because, like I said, only one shows up. And so that changes the way that you manage PPC. Basically, you really just want to drive the PPC to either to one primary listing, which gets all of the traffic and then it sort of gets distributed back out to the other variations, or you have to separate those keywords out so that different variations get ranked for different keywords. So it's harder to manage PPC using variation listings. And then lastly, and this is a sort of following point, it's hard to control which variation gets the traffic in general. You can't actually decide which listing is going to get ranked for power bank, which listing is going to get ranked for, portable charger. A lot of that comes down to Amazon and just seeing what it thinks is the most relevant. So those are the cons of using variation listings, and the pros as well. They really are 2 different sort of sides of the same coin. We use variation listings a lot because we like the ease of doing them, but there are definitely the cons to consider. So guys, how did you go? That was question 7. That was the last question in the pop quiz. You can tally up your score. Again, I would love to hear a comment from you. What did you think of this format of video? It's something new, it's something different. How did you go with these questions? Was there something you weren't sure on, something I didn't explain clearly? Do you disagree with something? Let me know what you got out of 7. Let me know, again, your thoughts and comments. At this stage, if you're here still watching this, I'm guessing that you actually found this video interesting. If you did, smash that like button, please. It shows me that it's worth making these videos. I really appreciate it. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. If you want more videos like this so you can up your Amazon FBA game, make sure to subscribe with the notification bell as well, so you're the first to get these videos as they come out. And of course, if you really want to step up your Amazon FBA game, then I highly recommend you check out my course. That's the FBA Freedom Accelerator. You can click a link down here, or that'll be the first link in the description as well. You can go and sign up for that there. I would love to have you inside the community with the 400 plus others of us that are there. And just remember, right now, while we're all in this crazy time, it's all about learning and it's all about community. So I'll be waiting for you in there. And for now, don't go anywhere. There is another video coming up, so you can click on that right there, and I'll see you in that video.